I am thrilled to be joined today by Lisa Trigsted, who you may know as Neat Freak McKinney from her thriving community on Instagram. Lisa started her professional organizing business as a second career after working as a school teacher for many years. Today, she is sharing her business story as well as her best time management tips. As entrepreneurs, it can definitely be a challenge to keep all the things in our lives and businesses going well without a hitch. I hope that Lisa's advice and perspective in this episode helps you find some new ways to approach your busy schedule and find more time in your day for the things that truly matter.
You're listening to the Pro Organizer Studio podcast with Jen Obermeyer. Thank you for joining in. Jen makes it her mission to broaden the horizons of savvy businesswomen in the organizing industry by instilling confidence and inspiring authenticity. She is a devoted business coach and founder of the Inspired Organizer program. You'll gain new insight into strategies designed specifically for professional organizers. And now, let's get started.
So excited to welcome to the podcast, Lisa Trigsted. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you today, Jen?
I'm doing great. So a lot of you may know Lisa just at the sight of her Instagram name, Neat Freak McKinney. First question I have for you, Lisa, is how many times a day do people think that your name is McKinney or that your last name is McKinney?
See, and that is yes, that happens all the time. They think, but I live in McKinney, Texas,
Yes.
and which is a suburb north of Dallas, and so I chose that name not really thinking, big picture, but I wanted to feel connected to my community. And so originally wanted just Neat Freak, and that's how I started in 2006. But since then, that name has been taken. And so I figured, well, I'm just going to be part of my community and call myself Neat Freak McKinney.
That is so awesome. And I know that people know you because this is the biggest thing about you, I feel, is that you are so active on Instagram, always commenting on other people's photos. And I just feel like you are one of those people who manages to be everywhere online in addition to actually running your business, which I have to tell you is one of the greatest, super women entrepreneurial powers. How do you do that?
Well, I actually have it down to a science. One of my biggest assets is time management. And so when I very first started my business 2 years ago, 2017, I really loved the women that I was meeting on Instagram, that I was meeting behind the scenes, and everybody just felt really true and genuine. And I know everybody thinks Instagram isn't real, but behind the scenes, it really is. Mm-hmm. And I started out just by truly wanting to meet other women and connect with them. And then pretty soon as my business started taking off, I figured, okay, I have to set some guidelines and limits. And so I am one of those that loves to post in the moment. I don't use a calendar or plan or anything ahead of time because I feel like for me, when I'm most genuine is when people really connect with me personally. And I really want that connection with my followers. So I will start my morning. I get up like an hour before I really need to. I have my coffee, I have my quiet time, and then I purposely am on Instagram for about 30 minutes. And then I get off, get ready for my day, go do my clients or go to the Container Store, whatever it is on the agenda for that day. And then I will start a story in the morning. Like, here I am today, I'm going to be in a pantry, which I probably taped the week before. And then after my client is done, then I hop in the car and either have my lunch or have something to drink. And then I kind of finish my story, then answer a few back and forth, questions either behind the scenes or comments from my post that morning. And then I get off. So that's 15, 20 minutes. And then I go about the rest of my afternoon. And then about 7 o'clock, my husband always teases me that I disappear. And I go and get my jammies on and I just kind of relax and crawl into my bed, my happy place. And then I spend about another half hour on Instagram. And I kind of purposefully do that so that I'm not on my phone all day. It might feel like it, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. And I turned on my little tracker to find out exactly how much time I'm spending on Instagram or social media in general. And it's really, I've gotten it right down to maybe about an hour, but it's in increments. So
that is seriously gold right there, because it is one thing to have all these plans, like you said, planning doesn't work as much for you because you don't feel as authentic about it. I think it's so easy for us to come up with these grand schemes and then we're like, okay, hang on, how do I actually implement that and fit it into my day? So just that description I know is so valuable for so many of our listeners. So take us back to, I know you said your business, you really got it going in 2017. Tell us about what inspired you to become a professional organizer and how did you get things started?
Okay. So I feel like I have to go back to the beginning. I'm the oldest of 7 kiddos, and my mom was the original neat freak. I feel like she had to
That's
be,
right.
she had to be in order to stay sane in a house with 7 kids. And I, as the oldest, was given a lot of responsibility. And so I feel like early on, I learned how to manage my time because I was very active in school and drill team and all the things. I was really social in school, but I had things that I had to get done at home. My parents were all about work before play. And so my job growing up was the laundry. So can you imagine the laundry in a house with 9 people? So
Yeah.
I learned early on to just manage all of that. And then as I grew up, I was using those gifts. I feel like it's a gift. Everybody has a gift, and my gift was organizing. And I feel like growing up, I was using that gift to help friends and teach my own children. And then I was a school teacher, and I used it in my classroom and helped other teachers get their classroom set up. And it was in 2006 when my daughter, my oldest, graduated high school and went off to college. I really felt a shift in my entire life, and I, for the first time, was at a loss of what to do. I felt like my whole world had changed,
Yeah.
and it really had. Life as I knew it was over, and I really kind of went into a funk. And I was still teaching school at that time, but all of my friends were so sweet. They rallied around me, and they said, "Lisa, you really need to do something with this gift." And that was before social media.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook was only for college kids. There was no such thing as Instagram or Pinterest or any of that. And so my best friend, what her husband is a custom home builder. And so I was going to kind of had a plan to go in behind him after he built all these beautiful homes. I thought, well, I'm going to leave my card and leave a little flyer. Back then we were, you know, printing off flyers of, businesses. And so I was putting all those in the new homes, and I was called Meat Freak. And shortly, like 2 months after that started, my husband got transferred to Denver, which had always been a dream to move to Colorado. We're both originally from Idaho. And so moving to Colorado was a dream. But in that dream, I had to put Meat Freak on the shelf. I had to leave a daughter at Baylor. Our son was just starting his junior year in high school. So it was a huge transition in all of our lives. And I felt
Yes.
like I didn't have a community yet up there. And so I just put my dream on the shelf, went to work in the school district up there, got our son graduated and off to college. And then in 2010, our first grandbabies were being born here in Dallas. And so I told my husband, 2012, I can't stand it anymore. We have to get back to Dallas. So we moved back to Dallas. At that time, he had his own business. And so I went to work as a preschool teacher in the church that we attend. And 4 of my grandchildren graduated from that preschool. So that was a really sweet time for me to be there with them. And it was fulfilling all of my needs and my desires. I was working 2 days a week. And pretty soon that preschool asked me to go full time. And so I did it for a semester, and I just thought in my heart, this is not really what I want to be doing anymore. And I just could not stop thinking about start Neat Freak again. Social
Mm-hmm.
media is what it is. There were some big name organizers out there that I started following and thinking, oh my word, it's all over the place. And I really want to do that. So in June of 2017, after school ended, I kind of talked my plan through with my husband, talked it through with my kiddos, and they were like, Mom, just do it. Like, just do it and see what happens. And so on that day, I woke up, like literally, Jen, I did everything the wrong way. I just said, let's do this. And so I started Neat Freak McKinney on Instagram, Neat Freak McKinney on Facebook. I gave away 4 free jobs, and those were taken in minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And from those 4 jobs, I had before and after pictures. My photography was horrible. I had no idea what I was doing, but it literally took off. And
Yeah.
so much so that last May I stopped teaching, and I literally could work 7 days a week if I wanted, but I won't.
Wow.
But it's really taken off, and I feel like I'm using my true gift, and I'm helping people, and I absolutely love it. So that's kind of my background, my little story.
Well, that's incredible. And let me just say there's no real wrong way to get it going as long as you do something to get it going. So it sounds like for you that obviously, like you said, paid off in a huge way and got you that momentum that you needed to continue. So incredible. All right. So I think that our listeners might want to know just a tiny tad bit more. So as the master of time management, what else do you have, that you have to balance in your life other than just your organizing business at this point? Because I know a lot of other women out there, they want to have time to still see their grandkids and spend time with their husband and have a life along with their business. So tell me how you make all that work for you.
Well, I purposefully plan into our day. So for, my whole week is kind of set up. The weekends, Sundays, afternoons, I usually are doing meal planning, but everything is with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Monday is usually my office day in my own home so that I can get my own life organized. I can get my, blog posts written. I can do things like this, be on your podcast. I can plan out my week. I usually go to the Container Store every Monday and get all of my products purchased for the week. But I do everything with purpose. And I feel like I don't fly by the seat of my pants. I don't run that way. I don't work that way. But the times that has happened because life happened, I find myself just flailing and trying to like catch up, and something always goes wrong. And so I feel like when you're purposeful about your time, and when my kids were at home, that meant shutting out the world. And so that you have to have some time where you completely shut off the world. And in this day and age of social media, it's very hard. I know that my daughters will tell you that they can waste so much time on social media. And that's why I purposefully try not to do that with my own business, because my business is run on social media. I don't pay for advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Friday nights are set aside always for a date night with my husband.
Yes.
He's busy in his job. He travels a lot, and now he's back in school. And so we purpose that Friday night is always going to be a time to set aside for ourselves. When our kids were home, we planned all their school activities as a family. And so everybody's calendars meshed up. And so I feel like when you have a plan and a purpose, that every minute has to count for something, even planning the downtime, you have to plan for that
Mm-hmm.
so that it doesn't just all consume you. So
Right. So, okay, going back to what you said about your business running on social media. So, as we know, you have a very active, like very engaged Instagram presence. Are the majority of your clients finding you on Instagram, or is it this point, is it a lot of word of mouth? Like how are they, how does that all come together in terms of your social media strategy?
yes, I get a lot of clients from Instagram, Facebook, Google Business Review. So that has
Mm-hmm.
helped me a lot. I met with a closet designer early into my career as an organizer, and she was really instrumental in helping me get the Google reviews. She said, I love what you do. I love your energy. I love your work, but you have 0 Google reviews. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so I started a business account on Google. It's really easy to do. And then I asked my clients after each job if they would consider giving me a review. And it's hard to ask because,
Mm-hmm.
but they're busy too. And so what I do is I actually send them the link to my business account so that all they do is click the link, hit review, type in it. It doesn't even matter what they say,
Yeah.
and they all, I would say 80% of them have done that. And so that has helped me a lot, is the business review on Google, and also word of mouth. I get a lot of repeat clients, or mom friends that say, oh, I hired this girl, and then I get a lot of clients that way. So it has really helped.
That's awesome. What are you, I have noticed anyway, that you have been doing more like affiliate types of collaborative posts on your Instagram. Now, for you, how did that come about? Was it something you sought out, or something that someone, people initially came to you and said, hey, will you post about our product? Will you post about this?
Yeah. So early on in my organizing career, I told my husband and daughter that someday I would love to be a brand ambassador for the Container Store. And that was a huge dream of mine. I feel like the Container Store is my Disneyland. It's my happy place.
Yes.
And I go in there and I use their products all the time. And a year and a half into my journey, they reached out to me and asked me if I'd be a brand ambassador. They had just started a program that August, and in February they reached out to me, and I was in the car on my way to a client's house, And I always try to get to my clients about 15 minutes early, so I have time to just think about what I'm going to do and answer some emails and, do that. I hate to be late, so I always get there early. And I was reading that email in the car, and I literally screamed, and I
That's
was so
so
excited.
incredible.
And so that was a huge honor for me, personally and professionally. And then the other clients that I have also reached out to me. I think as my numbers grew and they saw my content, they would reach out to me. And so I have some work with M Design that I do, and a few other products that Organize My Drawer has reached out to me. So some of it, I feel like I just really wanted and put it out there, and it happened. And then I worked really hard, and tagging those clients and tagging those brands has helped as well.
So I've noticed that some of the content, at least on your Instagram, it revolves around your personal projects in your home, which I think is really cool because, there's a lot of organizers out there who think, oh, well, if their own house doesn't look picture perfect, that they can't put it out there, or it's like, it's not good. It's not a good look for them as an organizer if they don't already have the perfectly organized space. So I love how, you might have taken spots in your home that weren't what you consider your ideal. And you're like, hey, this is content. Like, this is a project that I can do and then share on Instagram myself.
Yeah. And I always personally, and when I talk to my clients about this, organization isn't about perfection. It's not a Pinterest picture. That's not what organization is. It's knowing where your stuff is and actually using that stuff. And so that's how I, teach my clients that. And my own home, this is my office. It's a working office. If I panned over to my desk, you would see paperwork stacked up.
Yeah.
But I know where everything is, and I have a goal at the end of this day to have that stack done. And so the same goes with my kitchen. My refrigerator can get messy when all the grandkids are over, but every single week I am resetting that space.
Exactly.
And that's how I teach my clients to do too. It's not about perfection.
Well, that's awesome, because I know that there are plenty of organizers out there who have wondered at some point, is it okay to share my own house and my own projects on their social media? And I say, absolutely. And you're a great example of that.
Well, and I feel like that makes me a person too. Like I don't want people to feel like I come in their house and judge them. That's not what I'm all about. I'm a real mom, a real grandma, a real wife. I have a real home. We live here, we work here, we make messes here. And that's what I try to relay to my followers as well, is I'll show my messy closet, I'll show my messy refrigerator, but then I'm also going to show you systems to put in place to help.
Yeah. Awesome. So Lisa, do you have a favorite type of project to do?
I think, I've been labeled the pantry queen, so I feel
okay.
I take on that, but I really do love pantries. I love kitchens because I feel like that's the heart of your home. And for me personally, growing up in a big house, with a lot of kids, and then raising my own kids, the kitchen was the heart of our home. And I loved providing that for my family. Healthy home cooked meals were a big part of our life. And so I feel like when the kitchen is organized, the pantry is organized, when you have meal prep in place, that just trickles down into the whole rest of the way you live. When you have, packed lunches the night before and have everybody start off on the right foot in the morning, I feel like that helps. So if I have to pick one favorite, I think it is a pantry. I really do love doing them. And my clients say, I think they think I can do them in my sleep.
So, okay, here's an interesting question. Is there anything about your professional organizing business? Now, I know you said you dipped your toe in the water early on back in 2006, but then now that you have, really put your whole time into it, is there anything that has come as a surprise to you? Like things that you never thought you'd encounter that you did?
Oh.
Sounds like I've brought up at least a good story.
Well, and I always say I don't kiss and tell on my clients, but
Sure.
I have, let's just say, and I'm sure you have too, I've seen it all. Nothing surprises me. And I feel like, I guess if I have to, the biggest thing I have come across is that people really need help. And that is what I find the most. And so I've had clients open the door to me and instantly burst into tears because they're they're relieved, but they're also worried and they might feel ashamed. And so I feel like that's my job, is to sit down. I just say, let's just sit down. We're not going to start anything. Let's just sit down and talk. And I feel like that has surprised me the most, of how vulnerable people feel when I
Yes.
come into their home. And, but yes, I've seen it all. I've done every type of situation you can think of. And I really find that putting the client at ease has helped the most with that.
Mm-hmm.
And taking the time, slow down. It's not a race. We're going to just sit down until you feel comfortable. We're going to talk it through, and then we get going. And then I just feel the stress and the weight of the world. You can just feel it lift off of them. And by the
Mm.
end, we're laughing, we're cutting up, we're making fun of the flip phone we just found in the bottom of the office closet, right?
Yeah.
And so by the end of the day, I just feel a huge shift in them. And that's what makes me happy and brings me the most joy.
Mm. Okay. Well, of course, without giving away any identifying details at all, is there a standout client story that you can share where you just feel like you were able to have like that impact in a way that you will never forget?
100%. It was my very first summer. It was July of 2017. And a client reached out to me, and I'd hate to use the word hoarder because that brings up a
Mm-hmm.
lot of mental things, but let's just say they were in dire need of help. And the mom reached out to me, and I could tell she was nervous, but I could tell she was also desperate. There had been an illness in the family. They were both very busy. There was just so much that collided into their world. And that I spent 6 days in a row at the home. In the first part of the week, they had sent their kiddos off to summer camp, which was a really smart idea.
Mm-hmm.
And they had me come in Monday. So I was there Monday through Saturday. And every single night I would give them homework. And when I walked in, it just felt heavy. There was a lot of anxiety. There might have been a little bit of this between, the husband and wife, a little bit of strife. And we just, like, systematically, we had to just talk through every single corner of that home and
Mm.
decide how we were going to proceed. They had homework every single night. And I'll give the example of, there was a piece of furniture that had been given to them by one of their fathers, and it was literally unusable. And you couldn't sit on it without feathers puffing everywhere.
Mm.
It was not a usable piece of furniture. And so we talked about that. And I said, how do you want this room to be? What do you want to use this room for? And they said, we want to use this as a place to read. They're avid readers. We want a place that we can sit down and have coffee and talk, and that our kids can play games on the floor if they want to. And so I said, well, do you sit on this piece of furniture? And they said, no. And then I said, then can we get rid of it? And it was just this tightening and this
Mm.
like, I can't even describe it. Just this, oh no, I can't. My father gave that to me. And then I said, well, would your father care that you got rid of it? Well, he's no longer with us. Well, so it just kind of, I
Yeah.
started unraveling the story. And then I said, okay, let's just try this. Can we put the couch in the garage? Just take it out of the space. We're not going to give it away. We're not going to get rid of it. Let's just take it and put it in the garage, and we're going to continue to work on this space. And they said okay to that. And so we did that. And then the next morning, I get to the house. She opens the door and she's like beyond excited, like a little kid at Christmas time. But she's like, come here, look what we did. So I went into the room, and they had gone that night after I left, like immediately after I left, they had gone to the store and bought 2 beautiful brand new chairs, put them in the place of where that couch was. And they were beyond excited. They finally have this beautiful place to sit and read and have coffee. And so we
Wow.
continued on that space. We fixed it up. We decorated. We took all their beautiful artwork that they had and hung it all around so that it turned out to be such a beautiful room. The piano was in there. It was just, and that little bit of like giving them permission to just think about moving that out,
Mm-hmm.
instead of having that angst of thinking I'm going to disappoint a relative who's actually no longer even with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like giving them permission to just let go. And I feel like that was the breaking point of that whole session. And by the end of that day, they had asked me if I would do a family meeting. And I said, I'm only going to do a family meeting if both husband and wife are on board, because I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I just felt like that was really important. And they both said yes. So the kiddos came back from camp. We sat down that Saturday morning. We had a family meeting. And I asked the kids what they thought when they got home, how they liked their room. And the kids were just like beyond excited. There was just like a lifting
Wow.
of heaviness in the whole entire home. So the sweetest thing is, though, a year later, I ran into that same husband and wife at the Container Store. I'm
Wow.
in the the closet section of the Container Store, and I hear Lisa, and I turn around, and it's the husband and wife, and they are like two little kids. They run over to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're in here doing this. Look what we painted we painted our bathroom. We've done this." And they pulled
Wow.
out their phones and they showed me all the pictures that they had done, and they both hugged me, and it was just like, oh my word, it was just so and that just like, it was so exciting. It just like kept me up for a whole week. It was just, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And so that to me just meant the world, that knowing that I could help this family overcome such a huge hurdle. And here they were a year later, still moving forward on that journey, and so excited and happy to do so. So I feel like that's like one of my biggest yay stories.
That is incredible. I feel like you just took me on this journey of, it's like you had your own kind of mini extreme home makeover week
Yes.
with
Yes.
really what is like the ideal situation when you have the couple who is ready and willing to work together to make changes, even though they had, some tension, and who actually did their homework every night. I love that. Like, you actually left them and they went and did it every night. So you were able to make this huge amount of progress over the week. And then to think about those kids coming home and seeing their rooms and like the family spaces. I mean, that makes me want to tear up.
It was
But that's
really sweet.
incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really sweet. And I wanted to honor the kids too. So I wanted to talk about when we did each of the children's bedrooms. We didn't purge everything. I had a bin for each child to go through when they got home from camp, so that they didn't feel violated, that someone just went in and threw away all their stuff. And so
Exactly.
I forgot to mention that, but that was really instrumental. But what was really funny to hear is when the kids went through the bin, they didn't want but maybe a few things in there. So it gave them, their own ownership of their rooms, and that they had the say of, yes, I can get rid of that, or no, I want to keep this one little thing and put it back in my room.
Wow. Incredible. And did you have any sense of how long they had been waiting to do something? Like, how did they tell you, we've been meaning to call an organizer for years? Like, what was the
Yes.
story behind that?
Yes. So it had been years. And like I said, there was an illness in the family, and that had contributed greatly
Mm-hmm.
to the way the home had just kind of come together, and had that they just got into this chronic state of
Mm-hmm.
just barely treading water, because they had so much going on in their life. But when the health issue kind of turned the corner, that's when the mom said, I don't want to live this way anymore. And she, had to go through a lot of her own self, and you know intr- introspection, and just kind of think about, okay, what have I done to contribute to this? They all did. And so it was just a huge shift. But that's so important, though, is that they're the ones that wanted help. So that helped them take ownership of actually doing it.
Yeah. Wow. That's absolutely incredible that you were able to have impact on them, not just through their stuff, but like, as there almost sounds like you helped them come together with this new mission as a family of the standard of like, here's how we want to be able to enjoy our time together and how we want to be able to live and all be able to contribute to it. And I love that they brought you into that meeting.
Yeah, they asked me to run the meeting, and so it was I've never done that before, except in my own family.
Yeah.
But it was really neat to hear them all talk about how, now that they see the house this way, how does it make you feel? And it was really a neat moment, personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's really a fascinating look at how organizers are so much more than just organizers because of that psychological kind of component. I mean, we're not really licensed to be counselors exactly, but we end up playing like that really, really vital role
Yeah,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
feel like, when you're in their personal space, and I have found this probably nearly with almost every single client I go to, whether I am making the Pinterest pantry for them or if I'm helping them move out of their home. Those are two huge, different projects, but you're in their personal space and you can't help but feel their vulnerability. And then from that time spent with them, you get to understand the person. And I feel like as a professional organizer, it is our job to help them to kind of figure out that journey. And you do feel like a counselor. I've had so many clients cry for so many different reasons, but it's just a really sweet time. But when you're in someone's personal space like that, I feel like it can't help but not happen.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Well, jumping back onto the business topic, has there been a book or someone who has influenced you from the business side in a big way that you can recommend?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Marie Kondo, she was kind of the first one to put a book out there, and that changed a lot for the organizing community. Lori Palau with her Hot Mess, she's
Hmm.
another one that I really looked up to in the business. My good friend Morgan Tyree, she just wrote a book, and so she has really helped take back your time. So I just feel like there's so many opportunities to grow as a personal organizer from other organizers.
Hmm.
And so I try to take a little bit of my experiences with all of the organizers that I meet behind the scenes and their ways of doing things and just kind of make it my own.
Awesome. What is on your plate as far as, future business growth or ideas that you have that you're working on?
Yes, I'm working on a little bit of rebranding. So I'm just trying to like find my way now that I have the experience and the 2 years under my belt. I'm trying to just better what I'm doing and better my brand. And I really want to get into some training. I get a lot of messages behind the scenes from new organizers starting out that ask me, I get questions all the time of them wanting to find out how I did it and things like this. And so that might be an avenue of something I might want to pursue. I've had a lot of people ask me to do YouTube videos. And so that is like something I might look into. I just hired an admin and she's really good at that, all the behind the scenes stuff for me. And so I'm anxious to hear all her ideas. She has so many ideas and we're just kind of just starting the process of thinking about, what the next step is for me. And I love public speaking, so I would love to do more speaking engagements. I've spoken to a lot of MOPS groups, mothers of preschoolers, and
Hmm.
that's been really fun. I've spoke at a lot of service academy, like the Young Men's League, Young Women's League service programs, and get a lot of questions from them. So I love writing, and so maybe doing some publication of something. I don't know. I just feel like the sky's the limit, but I'm so busy right now, like actually organizing,
Yes.
that it's hard for me to think. So I keep saying when it slows down, I'll have this time to do it. But I don't know. The time, it hasn't been slowing down yet. So I
Hmm.
have I have really a lot of fun ideas, and I'm really excited about the future. So I just can't believe I'm here at this time. 2 years ago, I would never have believed it. And so who knows what the next 2 years will bring.
Exactly. Do you do some blog writing right now?
I do. I try. I haven't been successful because of just my busy schedule, but I try to put a blog post out every morning. I mean,
Goals. Yeah.
yes, that was a blooper. Every Monday. And so with my brand ambassadorship with the Container Store, whenever I have a monthly project with them that I turn out every month. And so I do a blog post for them with the new products that I'm showcasing each month. And so sometimes that's all I can get done. But I do love writing and I love sharing my personal story. So part of me wonders, would people be interested in hearing like a personal side of my story and really delving in to why I have the gifts I have? I have a very, I think everybody has a story, but I have a lot of things that happened as I was growing up that probably played into why I am the way I am today. So I wonder if people would be interested in that. I don't know. So I'm
So it was
excited.
more than just the laundry chores. Yes.
Yes, yes,
I can only
yes.
imagine. I can only imagine. Well, I personally would love to hear that story. So I'm sure many of our listeners would as well. Tell them where they can find you, just in case they are not following you yet for some reason, on your social media.
Yes, I'm on Instagram at Neat Freak McKinney, or my website is neatfreakmckinney.com. Sorry, I'm on Pinterest, Neat Freak
Okay,
McKinney.
great. Lisa, this has been such a pleasure to talk to you. Like I said, I feel like you are just what I think of as like the nicest gal on Instagram, always
Oh,
being positive and lifting people up and commenting. And like I said, managing to seem like you're everywhere at all times. It was so special for you to share a glimpse behind the scenes, just even in a normal day for you to hear exactly how you get it all done. I really appreciate you being on the show.
oh, thank you so much. It was like I said, this is a full circle moment for me. So I remember the very first time I ever found you was through Sam at Simply Organized.
Yeah.
And I remember watching your guys' live, and she was in a closet and you guys were
Yeah.
drinking wine. And I just remember thinking, and then here I am today, and I was like so new. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, that is like the coolest thing ever. And then today, here I am. So I'm having a little moment.
Well, incredible. I'm so happy to be a part of that moment, Lisa. And
Thank
listen,
you.
guys, we do have a free Facebook group for the podcast. So if you were listening today and you want to send a shout out to Lisa or ask her a question, you can always come into our free Facebook group for the podcast. You can also check out who is coming up next or ask for, new guests that you would love to hear on the show. So check out that link in our show notes. And thanks again, Lisa, for being here.
Thank you, Jen, for having me. Really and truly. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Organizer Studio podcast. If you'd like to learn more about time-saving services and resources for professional organizers, visit www.proorganizerstudio.com. And if you'd like to get Jen's roadmap to success for launching and growing your professional organizing business, go straight to www.poroadmap.com.